So there's been a lot of buzz over Colin Kaepernick's recent tweet where he announced the launch of a title that he's starting, Abolition for the Police, the Movement for a Future Without Policing in Prisons. The main complaint I've heard is, mostly black women saying how they feel like it is unfair. They feel like it was a bad move for him to choose a dark-skinned woman with arguably 4C hair and quote-unquote ethnic features to be the art piece and to be essentially the mascot for the work that he's promoting. And there's this big uproar and saying, why are you always choosing these women? Why every single time, we're ready to fight, or we're ready to champion a cause, or we're ready to battle, why do we always have to choose the dark-skinned women with ethnic features to do that? Why don't you choose the woman that you prefer? Why don't you choose the woman that you prefer to date, the ethnically ambiguous women? And so this is the big uproar. This was the primary complaint regarding this decision that he used. A couple of things I have to say about that. I understand the sentiment. I understand where they're coming from, where it seems like, black women, we are constantly forced into these tropes, right? We are constantly forced into this place either of being, the angry, black woman to the impervious, strong, independent woman who does everything, to the sexually explicit, sexually free woman. I feel like we are oftentimes pigeonholed into these, certain tropes, and very often are we given the freedom to express the fullness of who we are. We don't really see black women, or especially dark-skinned black women, put in positions where their femininity is shown. And so I understand. I think I understand the sensitivity behind this matter. What I will say is where I disagree is I don't think there's anything that he could have done to make this post acceptable, because the majority of the people, first of all, who I see actually see criticizing his work, first of all, none of those people even agree with him politically. Most of them are saying we're not for the abolition of the police. We maybe want to reform it, but we don't want to break it down. And so almost all the people who I see who are actively opposing him are not for his policy. I think what people don't understand, first of all, is that, the police and law enforcement actually descends from slave patrol. If you actually do your research, it literally, initially, it was slave patrol. It was protect and serve property. It was protect and serve capital. It was not protect and serve people. And so, now fast forward, and we see this being manifested time and time again for police officers who use their power wrongly, and they misuse it. And so I think what is not clear is that when they're saying, abolish the police, what they're not saying is, now it's going to be free for all and everyone's going to fend for themselves. What they're essentially saying is, okay, now let us, reinforce, or let's bring in alternative methods of actually, enforcing the law. So I think there's this big misunderstanding of what he actually means when he's saying, like, abolish the police. He's not saying, oh, we're not going to have any law enforcement. He's essentially saying, hey, let's completely dismantle the slave patrol, because that's essentially what it is. It's a modern modern form of slave control, and let's actually now reestablish something that's going to be the most beneficial for the communities. So let's just start there. So again, with that said, many of the women who are against him are just, they don't agree with him politically. That's the first thing. Secondly, a bigger issue I have is that I don't think there's anything that he could have done as far as visual representation to make this acceptable to all audiences. Because, okay, let's say he did choose a ethnically ambiguous light-skinned women. Then these same women who are complaining probably would have said, hey, this guy is colorist. Look at his girlfriend. She's ethnically ambiguous. She's not dark-skinned. She's not X, Y, and Z. This guy obviously has a preference for lighter-skinned women. And so they would have been complaining that he's colorist if he had have chosen a lighter-skinned or ethnically ambiguous woman. Okay, let's say he chose a white woman. Then it would have been like, how dare you choose Becky? We have been the ones that have been championing the cause. We have been the ones on the forefront of all of these, all of these issues. Why would you choose Becky to represent this? Okay, so that's what they would say if he chose a white girl. Okay, let's say he chose a dark-skinned woman and a light-skinned woman as his representation. Then it could have been an argument of, why are you just showing women? Women are always protecting. Women are always fighting for their men. Black women are always the ones championing the cause. Why are we protecting you? You should be protecting us. My point being, I feel like no matter what he could have done, no matter what art or representation he could have used, there would have been some argument. There would have been something said to completely invalidate what he's trying to do. And so my bigger issue is it's not really politically whether or not you agree to abolish the police or not agree to abolish the police. That's a personal thing. But I think the bigger issue to me is that this reinforces what I've said earlier, that there is such a disconnect in the Black community. There is such a deep level of dissension that no matter what a Black man does, he's always going to come under some level of scrutiny, almost to the point to where nothing he does can be good enough. Nothing he does can be good enough. And in a situation where, you would hope that a person who is trying to do something good in the Black community, even if he's not perfect, even if he's going about it wrong, a person who's trying to be good, instead of there being constructive criticism, there's just hate. And there is just, there's insulting, and there is just degrading, and there is just disrespect. And to me, I think that is the bigger issue than anything. It's things like this, to me, it's situations like this where we see how deep the divide is between men and women. And the very fact that these dark-skinned women are saying, well, you didn't ask us. You didn't go to the dark-skinned women community and ask us. And I'm thinking, that comment in and of itself shows how broken down we are. Because if a Chinese man was going to represent his culture, would he go to the Chinese woman and say, hey, do you like the way you look in this picture, or do you X, Y, and Z? I mean, 9 times out of 10, the assumption is that you're already working together with this woman. You're already working together with this community. And so that doesn't even need to be stated. You're in the community. So when you're in the community, you already know what to do. And the fact that, this argument is positioned as, oh, well, Black man over here, you should have left your Black man community and went over to the Black woman community to see how we feel. I'm like, why are we talking as if we are in 2 separate communities? Why aren't we acting together? And to me, that is the biggest issue. That is the biggest issue. All this other stuff to me is just playing in the weeds. At the core, there is a deep level of distrust and disrespect and sometimes even hate that exists between Black men and Black women. And it's situations like this that bring it to the forefront. But what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Leave your questions, comments, concerns in the comment section below. And thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Talk later.